our parliament and our country are building our great South African nation. Parliament TV, channel 408 on DSTV.
And of course, you're still watching Parliament TV, and the floors of Arabella Golfs and Spa Hotels in Claremont are currently buzzing with a profound sense of global purpose as we host the prestigious P20 event, building towards the Speakers Summit, which starts tomorrow. Now, this gathering brings together speakers and presiding officers from the world's largest economies, the G20, to deliberate on the critical role of Parliament in addressing some of humanity's most pressing challenges. Now, yesterday's session set at a beautiful, powerful tone, with discussions zeroing in on three key pillars, and that is sustainable development, the urgent acceleration of the 2030 agenda, and gender equality, and the vital need for more inclusive and representative legislatures and international peace and security, with a specific focus on how parliamentary diplomacy can help resolve these conflicts. Now, the overarching P20 theme is strengthening parliamentary diplomacy for a more resilient, peaceful and equitable world. And it is not just a slogan, it is a call for action. Now, delegates have already begun framing Parliament not just as lawmaking bodies, but as essential bridges between governments and citizens, and of course, the global community. Now, to reflect on these pivotal discussions and look ahead to the summit's climax, we are joined in the studio by one of the key architects of this event, the Deputy Chairperson of the National Council of Provinces of South Africa, Mr. Govender. Deputy Chair, thank you so much for making the time.
No, I must thank you for giving me this opportunity. It's been a bit of a hectic schedule, but when you call me to the studio, I have to make the time for you.
Of course. Now, Chair, of course, it's been 2 days of hectic dialogue, right? Now, as one of the hosts, what have been your most significant takeaways from the first day of the P20 Speakers Summit, and what energy or consensus are you sensing from your international counterparts?
I think before I go on to that, we've just received some very sad news as a country with the passing of our ambassador to France, Ambassador Natim Tetwa. And that news has just come to us now, and I want to convey condolences from here to the Mtetwa family, to the presidency of our country, as well as to the ANC as a political party. Our thoughts and prayers are with them during this sad time.
And of course, condolences from Parliament TV as well.
Thank you very much. Coming to your question, you know, from yesterday, delegates that were arriving, they came with such enthusiasm and, you know, looking forward to so much that they can contribute to this, to these 3-day sessions. And I can tell you that if one, you know, walked into those venues where the youth segment was taking place as well as the women's segment, there was such energy, such, you know, vibrancy in the way people are communicating. And even though with some countries there's a language barrier, but that didn't stop people from speaking their minds, expressing themselves. And also what was very encouraging was, even though in some instances they differed with each other, but it was done in such a constructive manner. You know, delegates were prepared to listen to each other and take into account what each you know, delegate was putting on the table.
And of course, that talks about the importance of collaboration, sharing, and learning from each other.
Well, you know, the theme talks about harnessing parliamentary diplomacy, and this was diplomacy in action, where you have people who with differing views but can still, you know, speak their minds and accept what each other is saying, and at the same time formulating ways as to how to address these challenges that we are facing.
Now, of course, the theme emphasizes resilient and peaceful and equitable. Now, from your perspective in the NCOP, which is tasked with representing provincial interests, of course, how does the summit directly translate into tangible benefits for the provinces and the people of South Africa?
Well, you'll know that the G20 is going to be held later this year. And all of these activities that we are having now are build-up activities to the G20. Now, this summit and the youth parliament that we held and the women's parliament that we held were all build-up activities. And on the same vein, you had ministers from different G20 countries having events in all our provinces. Right? So in that way, we were showcasing our provinces to the rest of the world. And by so doing, we are showing the world the opportunities that exist in South Africa and on the African continent. So, you know, this sort of collaboration where we showcase our country and say, look, these are the opportunities that you have. And remember that one of the main challenges that we are faced with right now is youth unemployment. Right? So by showcasing our country and its potential, we are saying, come and invest with us. In that way, we are attracting foreign direct investment and therefore creating jobs for our youth.
Now, of course, yesterday, sustainable development and gender equality were major topics on the floors. Now, could you elaborate on one or two concrete proposals or shared commitments from the participants that emerged in these sessions that you find particularly promising?
You know, you should have been in one of those rooms, especially the one where the women were meeting. And I can tell you, you know, they spoke so passionately about women issues. The fact that, you know, even when we deal with our budgets need to be gender sensitive. And, you know, they sort of coined the phrase, look at your budget with a gender lens and make sure that women's issues are placed on top of the agenda, as well as ensure that budgeting is done to address those issues. And not only you have the money appropriated for that, but that money is spent for that purpose. Because what has happened in the past is that money is appropriated for it, but it is not spent, and the benefits were not felt by you know, the women of our country. Now, even delegates from Africa, when they spoke so passionately about women's issues, you know, and also talking about women's issues from a climate perspective. And that was something very interesting. How does climate change affect women in the daily work, in the daily lives, and the impact that it has on children? And that was very interesting for me.
Now, you spoke dearly about parliamentary diplomacy and gave the example of these robust dialogues and how beyond the traditional challenges, beyond the language barriers, that people came together and they shared ideas. How important are these engagements and these dialogues?
You know, it is very important in the sense that you're having people from different cultures, different backgrounds, different lived experiences. But they come here and they speak to each other like they're old friends. And in that way, you are able to engage with each other. Not in a very formal manner where you are sitting and you're deliberating and arguing points. But here they were putting their issues on the table to say, how do we take these issues forward? How do we legislate to ensure that these issues are indeed taken care of? And that these issues find expression amongst the people, because it is well and good to sit and formulate a whole lot of legislation, and we've got some of the best legislation in the world. But why are we not enacting those? And why is it that our people are still complaining? You know, right now you find that climate change is such a huge issue right here in our country. You know, the wildfires in Cape Town now, today as we speak, the floods in KwaZulu-Natal and in Mpumalanga province, these are impacting on people's lives on a daily basis. What are we doing to address those issues? And people were placing those issues on the table to say, this is how it is affecting our lives. Women especially, young girls, not able to go to school because of this. Yes. And how does that impact on their lives going forward? So those are the issues that they were grappling with in that session. And it was so interesting.
And I mean, throughout our engagements just yesterday and today, the conversations that we've had right here on Parliament TV, even during the media briefing, the one question that always stands is, how are people going to feel? How tangible are these outcomes going to be as you come back to your legislatures, as people go back home? How are these outcomes and resolutions that are going to be made at the P20, made at the meeting of women parliamentarians and young parliamentarians, how are they going to be felt?
Well, firstly, there will be outcome documents. There'll be declarations that will be tabled when we close the sessions, and those documents will then be fed to all the countries, whether they were here or not. They will all receive these outcome documents, and then there will be follow-up sessions to see that, the inputs that were made here are indeed taken care of in the different countries, because certain issues came up here that will need changes in the legislations of those countries. That is the one thing. Secondly, budgets will need to be aligned to address those issues. So those are the things that will need to be tracked. And that is where institutions where we serve on internationally, like the IPU, the AU, the European Union, all of those bodies will then come on board because they are all part of the session. African Union is here representative. The EU is here representatives. So they will then take these issues back and see how they feed into their own agendas and ensure that whatever is, is coming out of these sessions is not just left here.
Yes.
It needs to go back and it needs to be enacted, and it must benefit the people in those countries as well as South Africa.
Now, Deputy Chair, I say these are the leading events to the main event, which will start tomorrow, which is the P20 Speakers Summit. And of course, we are awaiting the President to open the summit. Now, how does the President's presence at the opening of the Speakers Summit elevate the entire event and underscore its importance for South Africa?
Well, look, the President of any country being present at an event, no matter what the event is, it actually gives a lot of weight to the event itself. Now, the fact that we're going to have the President of our country, President Ramaphosa, being there and doing the keynote address, immediately sends a message not only to the citizens of our country, but to the world at large, to say this P20, this G20 is something that we take very seriously. Seriously to the point that the President himself has made time to come and address this session, as well as it will send a very clear message to all the other countries who are participating here that this is something that South Africa has taken very seriously, because keep in mind that this is the first time that the G20 is being held on South African soil. And this is the first time that we are hosting the P20. And, people were always asking, what is a P20? And then we had to say, no, it's a summit of speakers from the G20 countries. And then the penny dropped and people were able to understand. So now when you have the President endorsing it, it immediately says to the world that the Speakers Summit is something that needs to be taken seriously. And also, this is the first time that we had the Y20, that is the Youth Parliament.
Yes.
Right? So for the first time in the years that the G20 has been in existence, that we have a Youth Parliament. And it started on South African soil, so something to be proud of.
Of course.
Yeah.
Now, the President often speaks on South Africa's foreign policy and domestic goals. What specific areas, be it climate, finance, youth unemployment, or infrastructure development, do you hope that the President will highlight, linking the P20's global agenda directly to South Africa's national development plan?
Well, all of those issues are very close to the President's heart, especially when it comes to women and youth issues, unemployment, especially amongst the youth. And then if you are talking about infrastructure development, for any country to make progress economically, your infrastructure needs to be in place. Now, this also links to climate change. How is climate change impacting on our infrastructure? If you look at the floods that take place, roads get damaged, houses get damaged. So all of that impacts on the progress that we are making as a country. And of course, the same applies across the world, because climate change doesn't respect any boundaries. It affects countries across the world. So the president, I'm confident, is going to speak on these issues. How does climate change affect the day-to-day lives of people? How does it affect the growth of our economy? And I'm sure that he is going to put on the table some of the issues that he would like us to address. So I'm looking forward to his interaction with us tomorrow, and I'm sure that he will speak on these crucial issues that you've just touched on.
Now, finally, once the last delegate has departed, right, what is the one lasting legacy or ongoing initiative you hope will emerge for the South African Parliament from hosting this landmark P20 summit?
I would like to see that the issues that were raised, especially those that dealt with youth and women issues and the impact on their lives. Now, I would like to see when the delegates leave here, they leave with some kind of positive impact that we have created on them, apart from them enjoying this beautiful scenario outside here. But they must go back with a sense of rejuvenation, knowing that they've come here, they've spent 3 or 4 days here, and that there is some hope. And, as I just said now, the fact that our president is going to be here to address them, that will give them hope. That going back, there will be, some kind of change, positive changes in their lives. And the fact that we had the Minister of Women, Youth and Persons with, disabilities addressing us yesterday, that also gives a very positive message to the delegates that have come from all these different countries, that South Africa is taking these issues very seriously, and that we will ensure that going forward, the deliberations that come out of here will actually find resonance amongst our people.
Deputy Chair, thank you so much.
Always a pleasure to be on your show. Thank you.
And that is the Deputy Chairperson of the National Council of Provinces of South Africa, Mr. Govender, giving us some insight on the coverage of the P20 Women Parliamentarians meeting. Of course, this is here in Arabella.